The journey of 1,000 miles, says the old proverb, begins with a single step. Whether you're just starting out on your writing journey and aren't sure where to begin, or you've been writing for some time but feel like you could use a little push, the rules of the road are very much the same. With help from literary legends who paved the way for us, let's jump into 7 essential keys to making your writing journey take off. Every story begins with an idea. Whether you draw your inspiration from personal experiences, unique observations, or an interesting news story, let your imagination run wild. Consider the works of J.K. Rowling, whose wizarding world of Harry Potter was inspired by a boy she saw on a train platform. Harry's schoolmates were modeled after her own college friends, and she pulled ideas from her favorite myths and legends to conjure up all her magical beasts. Write what you know, she said. Your own interests, feelings, beliefs, friends, family, and even pets will be your raw materials when you start writing. George Orwell's groundbreaking 1984, which introduced us to such terms as Big Brother and Newspeak, was a reflection of his rebellion against government control. When I sit down to write a book, I do not say to myself, I'm going to produce a work of art. I write it because there is some lie that I want to expose, some fact to which I want to draw attention, and my initial concern is to get a hearing. What matters to you? What excites you? What angers you? What drives you? Consider using that as a starting point for your story. Characters are the heartbeat of a story. Develop yours with authenticity by giving them depth, weaknesses, and motivations. Don't let them become passive bystanders. Give them a compelling journey for readers to invest in. Think about the complexity of characters like J. Gatsby in F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby.
How do you do, old sport? I'm Gatsby.
Fitzgerald believed in creating a cast of people rather than caricatures. What did he say about Gatsby? I am an only child. Gatsby is my imaginary eldest brother. Agatha Christie's detective Hercule Poirot is known for his dramatic flair and an understanding of human nature. Ironically, though he helps solve crimes, he doesn't always obey the law, instead following his own moral conscience. Christie's knack for creating complex characters can be summed up in her acknowledgement that every murderer is probably someone's old friend. Craft your characters with flaws and aspirations, just like your readers have, to create that connection with them. Plan your story and fill it with conflict. Decide what your hero wants, and then put roadblocks in their way. Regarding the challenges you give your hero, think of the words of Kurt Vonnegut. Be a sadist. No matter how sweet and innocent your leading characters, make awful things happen to them in order that the reader may see what they are made of. When planning your story, many authors recommend outlining where you're going. Giving yourself a roadmap will guide you through the twists and turns of your plot so you don't get lost in the creative process. For a template, consider the 3-act structure in most successful narratives, such as in The Lord of the Rings. The first of the 3 acts introduces the world. The middle is full of challenges. And the end brings resolution. Here's how J.R.R. Tolkien approached the writing of his epic tale. I wisely started with a map and made the story fit. The other way about lands one in confusions and impossibilities, and in any case it is weary work to compose a map from a story. Whether you start with just a general idea of where your story needs to go, or you prepare a meticulously detailed outline, having some kind of guidance system will help keep you on track, preventing you from losing your way. Then, write. Go full speed ahead with wild abandon. Don't let yourself get bogged down in self-editing. Embrace the writing process and let the words just happen from deep inside you. According to Ray Bradbury, your intuition knows what to write. So get out of the way. Your first draft doesn't need perfection. It just needs to exist. You want this run-through to be a raw exploration of your ideas, just as Anne Lamott suggests in Bird by Bird when she says, "Almost all good writing begins with terrible first efforts. You need to start somewhere." Let the words flow without judgment, knowing that the refining process will come later. Cars 3 screenwriter Mike Rich knows that first time through has a tendency to go off the rails. But his reassuring advice is to write your first draft with your heart. Rewrite with your head. Then revise. Tweak, trim, and polish your masterpiece. Think of a sculptor meticulously chipping away at the rough edges. Revision is the detailing phase. Far from being a drudge, see rewriting as an opportunity to explore overlooked possibilities and to perfect your prose. In the words of C.S. Lewis, "Don't say it was delightful. Make us say delightful when we've read the description." You see, all those words, horrifying, wonderful, hideous, exquisite, are only like saying to your readers, "Please, will you do the job for me?" So how do we show instead of tell? Anton Chekhov gave us this vivid example. "Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on broken glass." Make your story the best it can be. Be objective. With that same passion you had when you began writing this story, take out what doesn't work and enhance what does. Connect with others who share your passion. Sharing your work is a significant step in growing as a writer. Engage with writing communities and conferences. In the words of a Handmaid's Tale author, Margaret Atwood, writing is solitary, but being a writer is social. Friedrich Nietzsche strived to get his point across, but also to be a voice of the people. A good writer possesses not only his own spirit, but also the spirit of his friends. Writers are rarely the best judge of our own writing. We've put our heart and soul into it and can be too attached. Seek feedback and be open to constructive criticism. Stephen King famously writes with Tabitha King in mind. He considers his novelist wife his perfect first reader. I think that every novelist has a single ideal reader, that at various points during the composition of a story, the writer is thinking, "I wonder what she will think when she reads this part." Choose first readers whose opinion you respect, and let your work evolve through collaboration and shared insights. Believe in yourself. You wouldn't want to be a writer if you didn't have something to say. Inspiration is always ready to strike, says Patricia Riley Giff, for whom being a writer is an all-encompassing passion. Everything in my life affects my writing. There are no separate parts of my life. Sylvia Plath agreed. Everything in life is writable about, if you have the outgoing guts to do it, and the imagination to improvise. The worst enemy to creativity is self-doubt. Don't compare yourself to other writers or measure your success against theirs. They are still learning too. When you feel a little adrift in your writing voyage, remember the words of Ernest Hemingway. We are all apprentices in a craft where no one ever becomes a master. You may come across folks who undermine your confidence, whether they intend to or not. Mark Twain told us to stay away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you too can become great. The world is ready and waiting for your unique voice. Keep writing, stay passionate, and above all, enjoy the journey.